Right. Here we are, Monday morning, I guess. No, and today we have a very fantastic artist in this alternative space. We have Martin. Martin is a friend. How long do we know each other? A couple of
10
years,
years.
more or
10
less.
years.
Yeah, such a journey. So Martin is the one of the greatest musicians trying to pass the message with the sound of his heart, and playing these beautiful songs, So I hope we can enjoy this moment. It's more like a chatting like a friends. I hope we can inspire the people with these conversations. So Martin, so can you tell us where do you come from? Uh, where did you grow up and how did you grow with your family? So how was the environment where you were living in that time, and how did you discover the music? What do you think music uh, comes from for you?
So I was born in Yeovil Hospital.
Right.
I lived with my mum and dad, obviously. I had three brothers, one of which was transgender, so that was technically a girl. Grew up. Dad was sort of not deliberately, but quite an abusive man. Um, he was very hard on noise, so I learnt to breathe silently, which was a blessing because I learnt a technique called fourfold breath, which I got told later on about, which is a
Right.
meditation practice. I used to breathe in, drink my nose as quiet as I could, hold it, breathe it out quietly, hold it. So mother was brilliant. Couldn't fault my mum. Um, we weren't really allowed out to play much, so we played in our garden. I was obviously the oldest child. I was a little bullyish to my middle brother,
Right.
as it goes.
So how many brothers and sisters do
So I
you
had
have?
two brothers and one technical sister, I would say. Yeah.
Right.
From the moment we started playing games, she was a female character. That was her.
Right.
Yeah, but not born in a female body. So she
Right.
struggled a lot. She ended up committing suicide in 2015.
2015, that was very
So
traumatic for you.
yeah,
Obviously it's part of the family, I guess. Nobody's ready for those kind of things.
no, it was a shock.
Mm.
And that followed my mother a year and a half later doing the same thing, and then a year and a half later my dad did the same thing. So that was interesting.
So that was
A
it
lot of
kind of
compounded pain.
circle, some kind of follow each other, no?
Yeah.
So very traumatic. So I guess that's an experience that you learn to live with it. Obviously, I think it was massive impact in your life, and that changed so many ways in your life experience where you're going through. So where Martin is today, no? So so how did you manage that transitions of dealing with that loss?
Um, well, I'd spent 15 years from when I was 16. I spent 15 years just skateboarding. I didn't have a job or anything.
Right.
Um, and it was the tail end of that I met this my ex partner, who was the mother of my two children, who were
Right.
amazing. Um, and I just got with her, and when my sister committed suicide, and we decided to try and live a normal life. So I got a job, a
Right.
place to live, um, yeah, a job in care, which I loved. And I kind of dealt with it. I made a lot of experimental music um, prior to from 2015 to 2007. That period of time, I learned a few songs. I'd
Right.
play them on my guitar occasionally. But from 2015, after the suicide, I started making my own music.
Right.
Um,
So it's some kind of trying to express that feeling, the internal feeling, I
yeah,
guess, trying to tell the message. Um, how did you discover the music? Is there anybody inspire you?
uh,
Any specific musicians do you
this
really
this this
think?
this is going to sound kind of odd, but
Right, yeah, no,
at
that's what we
6 years
are.
old, I was
Yeah,
taken out of my body. That was when I became self-conscious, or not self-conscious, self-aware.
right,
Um, Prior to that, I imagine I was just instinctual as a child.
wow,
So I was taken out of my body by what I believe to be God, or whatever you want to call it. And God told me that there was a war being fought in a vibrational field, not on this
dimension.
Yeah, not in this dimension.
Right.
That war. I had a small, very small part to play, as do all artists and other people, to sway the vibrations in a particular way. Do you know what I mean?
Like a navigating in certain waves
Yeah.
to like a cross, like a channels or.
Well, I've thought about this as the reason behind it. You know, have you seen those experiments with music with sound and sand and sound and water on a
Oh
plate,
yes, yeah,
cymatics?
yeah,
You pump a frequency at it,
yeah.
and doesn't do anything. When it gets to a particular frequency, everything forms into a geometric pattern. You seen those?
Yeah.
So the way I see it is the body is essentially a biological machine,
Wow.
a vessel that runs from off electricity. And that electricity flows through the circuits that are made by the electrolytes within the water of your cells and body. And I think maybe the position of the electrolytes within the water in your body, which is the electrical circuit that things run between,
Right. So.
it will change position and it will make a slightly different circuit. And a
Yeah.
small change of an electrical circuit can make a huge difference to how that circuit behaves. I learned that from guitar pedal videos, watching things about that. So that's how sound affects the human body, I believe.
Absolutely. I think the spirit vibrate through the sounds of the music, and then
And
expand.
the talk and the
Yeah.
thought and the energy field that comes
Yeah.
off of all living creatures and non-living creatures.
Absolutely.
Well, not non-living creatures, that was about
Living creatures.
living
Yeah.
creatures and inanimate objects will have energy fields.
It's very interesting you mentioned this about music, and also sure you're aware about Rockefeller in the 1930s when the vibration of music it was
8 hertz change.
432
8
hertz,
high.
and they took it higher to 440 because they wanted to control the mind to distort the natural vibration of the sound. What they have done that all across the US they made the law in the 40s, like the music and all the social media, to sound that 440 hertz where we're always vibrating in scare or threat and all of that stuff. Later Hitler in 1940s as well, he took it over, and in 1953 there was a worldwide law which by the music
Concept
changed.
pitch.
Yeah, concept pitch, exactly. So that has massive impact in the way how
Yeah.
we perceive the music, which is not natural. It's being forced to get that high, because if you get down to 432 hertz, I think that's what it is. It's the natural vibration of the universe.
I was playing in that for a long time. I changed back to 440 because I was in bands and people had keyboards and things like that.
Yeah.
I couldn't play
Wow.
with them. Yeah, I was in 432 for a long time.
Very interesting, because that obviously is that connection with the sound, and it's similar happened with the medicine from the jungle. When we are all connected, we're in the sound, we become sound, and that more or less.
Everything is sound, essentially.
Yeah.
That's what they say in the Bible.
Yeah.
First there was the word.
Yeah.
And the word is nothing but sound.
We communicate through waves or sounds of
Yeah.
air. Yeah, music is the same, has that kind of language, invisible language. We cannot reconnect with it. So it's very interesting. So that sound, obviously, you're healing. You're trying to put your message across through your music, I guess not. Well, I believe and I think music is healing for others. It's healing us and somehow, no? Absolutely.
Got a lot of positive reception in town. Been busking there for about 2 months. So God also told me when I would die.
Right.
He told me when he was
Wow.
86, in my bed happy. And he also told me that I was going to remake The Sugar Plum Fairy by Tchaikovsky.
Wow.
Yeah.
Powerful message.
Random.
Yeah. So how did you see those messages? Did you have any dreams or?
I was sat in the hallway upstairs, just against the wall, being really quiet, and I was taken. I felt myself rise out of my body.
Really?
and he didn't speak to me in words. It's sort of imbued. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's kind of difficult to explain. I know what he told me, but it wasn't like he spoke it to me, or she, or it.
Yeah.
It would be better. Yeah.
So how was that? Through the how did you get that message? I mean, visual or
No,
so
it was. I was taken out of my body, and I was above my body,
shifted.
and it was almost like nothing was happening at that time. And then when I went back into my body, I knew what the message he'd given me was.
Beautiful. I guess that's one of these experiences you will never forget in your life.
No,
And I guess that change as well, because I think that message is not just a message; it's a message has to do with your mission in this planet Mother Earth. You know, now you go your instrument, and I guess that instrument you reconnect so many people through the sounds. I guess you know it's like building community with the sound. You know, obviously, and somehow you rediscovering. You know, what do you do here, no, in this dimension? And I think music is your main thing. I
yeah.
would like to believe, no, music is like
Well, he told me.
your
It
soul,
told me itself.
is your language, is your love, is everything. And that's why I think you identify as a musician. You know, you got that kind of features, you got that kind of characters. I remember, and that was in 2016. You know, those days we used to have those places available where you can go play music.
And I couldn't play then in front of people.
Really?
Yeah, well, at 9 years old, from 6 to 9, I was incredibly theatrical.
Wow.
I could express myself in front of my parents and my siblings, and then I was singing in my room, and I could hear my mother and father laughing,
Right.
and that just cut me off
Wow.
until very recently, up until about 3 months ago.
Very important. You will just mention, because I've been listening other podcasts and other leaders. Whatever you do when you're a child, yeah, and that reflects a lot later on in your life, because you were innocent. You will not being doctrinized or somebody being reset your mind. You're just free. You're just like following these dreams. But obviously, we with the society, our parents, you shouldn't do that. Why do you do that? They cannot see the future in the music or on the creator industry, because they have different way of thinking. I mean, I don't blame them, because they have been
It's old
educated
school.
in that way.
It's
Yeah,
just how it was,
yeah,
and it's helpful.
yeah,
I'm thankful for all of that.
yeah.
Really
So
thankful for all the trauma that I've ever received.
because that is the person who you are today.
It's fuel
Yeah,
for art, isn't it?
absolutely. And I think whatever happened when you were a child, 6 years old, and the age that you have today, you kind of took it over again and have more confidence, because that's who you are, and this is what you want to do, and that what makes you feel happy, and you want to remember in that kind of way, no, that kind of character, like making the music, writing music, playing music for people, maybe not necessarily for money, maybe
No, it's less fun at the moment busking because I'm doing it out of necessity.
mm,
And there's a marked decrease in money that comes in as well, which is interesting.
wow,
When I'm playing and I don't need any money, it's very lucrative. When I'm playing and I'm desperate because I can't eat because I've lost my job and things, and the benefits people aren't paying me for a while, I barely make anything. And but that could be January, February, post Christmas time
right,
as well. But
it's
I've also tested it. There was a point in time where I had money and I didn't need to busk, and I was busking and I made more.
right,
The energy that I gave off dictated how people would feel when they walked past. Oh, this is nice. Here's some money. You know what I mean? Or like if I was desperate, it's like, oh, this is.
right.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know what they feel, but
So that, oh yeah, oh definitely, because being an artist is not the easiest things to do. You have to be a warrior. You have to defend your dream, your baby. You know, like you have to get out the house and go play, find us spaces, available opportunities, because it's very difficult these days now, because we don't have many platforms where the rock and roll can be played, the music, any kind of music you want to play. Not like in the past, people used to go to the pubs, find the latest, um, they're not talented people, you know. But today has changed a lot up, and also playing music industry, you know, is I think is powerful, and I really respect being brave, standing there in front of people. I mean, obviously, on the weather condition really matters because some places can be very freezing and you can actually feel your fingers,
Yeah, I've had
and
that
that
recently.
and that's respect for many people who don't know about this. They think, oh, just the music, because we never been in those situations, we never been in the shoes of that artist. Sometimes we don't appreciate life, what we have, thinking, oh, just playing music. But behind that person, as Martin, behind that shell is so many things going on, so many battles behind, so many wars you would like to achieve. But for you, I think anybody will come in to say just hello, thank you for the music, or anything they can give you for you, just good enough to keep going, navigating this life with your music, because being brave to take your dream affront, because not many people actually do these things.
Well, I couldn't do it for a very long time, though. It actually was another weird story about how I managed to busk and play in front of others again. I got prayed for in the
Wow.
street in tongues, uh, which is interesting. I believe in the power of prayer because of
AHO, brother, I do believe.
because of what I talked about earlier with the vibration
Yeah.
and the circuit in the body.
Yeah.
So someone prayed for me in tongues, and as soon as they touched me, I could feel something in my stomach, right in the pit of my stomach. And
Beautiful.
as
The
she was,
chakra. Yeah.
yeah, and as she prayed for me, I don't know what that chakra is, but as she prayed for me, I felt it coming up through. I was breathing through my nose, controlled, and when it got to my mouth, my cheeks went, and I had to blow it out. And from that point on,
Wow.
that also coincided. It was the day before we were about to get a drummer for the band I was in, and
Wow.
I couldn't play in front of others. I didn't know at that point. And the day before we got a drummer, that was, for want of a better word, exercised.
Wow. And he was this person that was a healer or
Um,
somebody you
they was a Christian. There was a Christian event going on at the time,
that was in
and they were
town?
talking to me. Yeah, they were talking to me about how I was. And I wasn't really in a very good place. I was a drug addict at the time,
Right.
up until about 4 weeks ago. I was taking sort of vast amounts of pregabalin to deal
Wow.
with the sort of relationship breakdown, not really seeing my kids, sleeping on the streets sometimes, working my care job at the time, which slowly my standards dwindled because I was
Right.
tired. Yeah,
God, powerful stories you come to tell us, because I think when we take that substance like alcohol, drugs, we're trying to escape the
yeah.
reality, because it's so much sometimes to take with it, and I really admire you, because after doing those years of consuming that substances, and you're still here with us, and you just said you
By
just
the skin
left
of my
it
teeth.
no long ago, no?
No, no. Well, it was maybe divine intervention. My door got forced at the Globe and Crown, which was the temporary homeless accommodation I was in up until today.
Wow.
And they took all my busking money, which was £140. They took my cigarettes and they took my pre-cabinet stash. So I had to sweat and
Wow.
deal with that for a couple of weeks. Um, and because I had no money and they robbed it, I couldn't afford to buy any more. So I just had to deal with it. Yeah,
Very, very difficult. I'm sorry to hear those things happening. So many
I'm happy
people
about it.
going through those experiences. But being as a musicians, you coming from that difficult background, where have you lost your money, and you
And
were
there's good
playing,
reason for having these difficulties,
yeah,
isn't there?
playing that music very young, and later you disconnected and come back to today, where you just experience like relationships, broken relationships, and your children, and taking the drugs, the alcohol, living in places. And I think some kind of miracles happening in your life. You're still standing, It reminds me that song by Elton John, we're still standing. So, what advice you can give this new generation, where they have a dreams to become an artist, a musicians, a writers, a poet, and obviously it's not the easy way to go, but through your experience, what advice or what would you like to tell them?
Just don't be a victim. Yeah, don't
Right.
be a victim of your circumstances. Be thankful for your circumstances and utilize it. Yeah, victim is a dangerous path. I witnessed. My dad was a heavy victim. his life was entirely, I'm a victim and everyone else is a perpetrator. That drove him to be a smackhead and a crackhead for most of my life. Drove him to be very abusive, very paranoid, very,
Right.
very fearful. Yeah, had a machete stashed in the house. It was, yeah,
Sounds terrifying. Yeah.
yeah. At times it was terrifying,
Yeah.
and he was. I think he was an undiagnosed paranoid schizophrenic.
Wow.
Yeah, so there were times when he tried to stab me when I was between sort of 12 and 15. There was a time where he tried to fight me at the top of the stairs, and I had to hold him,
Wow.
and we tumbled on down all the stairs. I just had to hold him there for about 20 minutes, telling him, "You need to stop this, man." It was yeah, scary.
Wow. That's interesting because I never thought that you have been experiences those things, traumatic experiences. Obviously, you were very young,
12 years old when he became a smackhead.
2 years old.
That was
So,
when my mum and dad split up because she had found a new man, and
right,
dad was devastated. He couldn't deal with it, so he turned to drugs.
right.
So I've sort of repeated a pattern there, which I had to get out
Oh, I see. Yeah.
of. So I'm thankful for the drugs being robbed from my room because yeah, it was. There were times when I felt like I was looking out of my dad's eyes
Mm,
because I'd started to repeat a pattern, and
wow.
most of my life I told myself I'm not going to repeat the pattern. I'm going to break this cycle,
Yeah.
But yeah, I fell into that.
But that must be very difficult now sometimes because we do certain things in an unconscious way, But but when we have a little while doing it, at some point we step back and think, hang on a minute. I think if I keep going this way, I'm becoming more like my dad or somebody I just to criticize or judge or I thinking I'm not gonna do that. Life is very interesting because I think time is wiser. It's teaching us all the time, and so as long
That's
as
what I was listening to. I was listening to Time by David Bowie when I arrived.
yeah.
Yeah, hell of a tune.
Yeah, that's why I listened a couple of times, about your music the last time we make a little video in town, and I don't know, I always thought and I have this feeling about you, like that energy you carry with you. Sometimes difficult to explain, like the invisible magic, like love and spirit, but the way how you play the music, we say you're not perfect, but you're unique. That what matters
Yeah,
because you're expressing your pure soul, your pure feelings, and and somehow people come to see you, people come to next to you, But oh, and also you're very brave because you don't give up. You're still here, and you got that image like rock and roll,
but I
the
believe that
musicians. Yeah.
there's a job to do, and I have to do that job really. Yeah, and that job is to put vibration into the universe to sway the war.
AHO, brother. I think it's beautiful way how you just said you have the missions, that simplicity, um, sound from your heart, like writing some kind of poetry on the air.
Yeah,
Yeah, some kind of how to put this together. You're painting the big compositions on the invisible
yeah.
magic.
Painting in time.
Exactly, and you're representing with it, and we are part of that. Weaving life, weaving time, weaving sounds. I think that's why we're here because I think it's very important people to know as well what we do. Especially you as musicians. So many times we've seen you before playing in the street, but most people don't have an idea who's Martin behind that guitar, behind that sunglasses, behind that hat. They're thinking, oh, it's a cool guy having a good time. But do they know how many struggles, how many battles, how many times you landed, but you managed to get up? You're still walking strong. You're still carrying that guitar. You still have that powerful feeling that you communicate with
It's
your
because I'm
guitar.
retrospectively glad about the issues and traumas that I've received.
Wow,
It may be difficult at the time, but retrospectively, it's a blessing.
it's a blessing time. So now we're going back to the music. What's your final image that you think you would like to become, and how would you like people to be remember you? Do you have any
Don't
ideas?
care.
No.
I'm not interested in being remembered.
Mhm.
Yeah, my part will be played while I live, and when I die, my part will have been played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think is honest. I feel you're honest, and that matters. Is like no attaching to something else or to be recognized. You only want to leave, and I think that's the beauty. Like when we give because we want to give.
That might be one of the reasons I have these glasses and this hat and this disguise, you know.
It's,
Yeah.
it's like I heard a story when the roses, they know when it's gonna get picked up, they will not give up. They will still give 100% of that essence. Yeah, like in nature does. I think it's great to hear, no, because I come across in the music as well. Is so many things going on. The ego, the people competing each other, and it's very difficult industry.
Well,
Very
there are different
very
types of
intoxicating.
musicians, aren't there? There are
Yeah,
sport-based musicians, and there are art-based musicians.
yeah. So, see, tell me now, are you happy in this moment in what you do? Uh, are you happy to see those changes, constantly changes, because allow you to see the different Martins in the past and today?
I'm not happy at the moment, to be honest.
Mm.
I've been yeah, it's been a strange existence for the past 10 months. Yeah, I was happy in March of last year.
Right.
I had a family with 2 kids,
Yeah. All
Mrs.
together.
It's all appeared to be fine,
Yeah.
um, and then one day I'm homeless. Yeah, and it's been a struggle, to be honest with you, a hell of a struggle. Um, so in this moment, I wouldn't say I'm actually happy,
Mm.
but I will be happy in the future, once I'm settled again.
Yeah. It's very important to recognize the little things because where I'm coming from, obviously I come from Mexico now, that happiness is inside of us. But sometimes we going through so many difficult things in life, we forget to love each other. We forget to love yourself. We forget to talk to us nicely because we're so distracted by the society and so many things. Sometimes I don't blame you. Sometimes like traumas or separations never been easy, especially when you love your children, you love your wife, you
Yeah,
have a house, you have the
stable
family
job.
together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was bliss.
and one day another you don't have none of that, and there you go. Most people never understand it, never been the experience, but I personally been there, and I think you're a very strong man to able to carry on making the living. Regardless what you're going through. As you said, at the moment you're just trying to find your way out, but you're walking. You're still making these movements. It doesn't matter how fast or how slow you're going, but you're still walking. That what matters. I mean, one of the things I really appreciate you told me you just left the drugs behind. You know,
Yeah, forced
yeah,
by
force.
whatever force
So
forced it.
nature, or so some kind of miracle, or
Well,
some
he ain't
kind
gonna
of
do it himself,
message.
so
Yeah,
better take him, you know.
yeah.
And here's a little penance. We've taken your money and your cigarettes. You know?
Maybe it's for good reason. We don't know. Sometimes we don't need to question. Maybe it meant to be like that.
It was a fucker at the time, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was upset.
I can
But they
imagine.
didn't take my guitars
That's oof,
and my amplifier. 2 amplifiers there, 2 guitars there.
right.
Yeah, loads of guitar pedals. So
Wow.
luckily they didn't take that stuff.
Yeah, thanks God you got your guitar here.
Yeah.
So yeah, Martin, that was a very interesting story you're telling us. And I hope people that are watching us, I hope people across the world, like, would be great to know his Martin behind his sunglasses and the hat, the cowboy hat. Yeah. So, would you like to play a song for the people where maybe they're watching us, or maybe a song for this moment to say thank you? No, like we thank you because we wake up this morning. It's a new day, a new present. We can start. We can forgive. We can carry on. We can build the dreams. We can pass the message on. I always believe we are an instrument of communication. We communicate. We pass the messages. Regardless what it is, music, art, poetry, books. And we elements, important elements from nature, and we're here just pass the messages to the next generation. So feel free, play
Right.
us a
I'll play a song
beautiful
by Genesis.
Genesis. There you go.
starting again then.
Yeah. Right. So.
It's kind of strange to play in front of the camera. I can't set a tune then.
That's all right. Yeah.
I have to tune it.
Don't worry. It's okay. That's this place we always improvising. It's not. We're trying to impress anybody. It's just about how we can create these platforms where little things happening, like ordinary things in our life. We always improvise. Yeah.
90% of my life is improvisation, man.
Always improvising. It's like
I very rarely think about what I'm doing.
yeah. That's the beauty of life. Like always get us by surprise.
Yeah. In fact, that's one of the reasons. That's one of the ways I cope with the trauma. God also gave me the ability to turn off my internal monologue or my internal dialogue,
Yeah.
and replace that with composing music in my head. Yeah.
Excellent. Wow. Thank you very much, Martin. I really enjoyed this moment. Thank you for this little chat. I really enjoy it. I hope to see you sometime soon as well. Maybe we can have a cup of tea. So, thank you. You want to say thank you for our brothers and sisters here watching. AHO, brothers and sisters. Thank you to Martin. We're having you here today. No, not late yet. Well, thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
Thank you.